morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
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 Good morning. We have a lot of people logging in, but I will go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kristen Peterson, TrueMark Homes and the 2024 SMC Chair. So welcome. And I know we've got about 36 people. We've got probably triple that are registered. So I'll wait a couple minutes as I do this intro, and hopefully everybody can jump on. This is a really exciting topic and session for us at the SMC. This is something that I think everybody is focused on, is understanding everyone, consumer behavior today and what that buying cycle and funnel looks like, and how it's changed over the years and what it will look like in the next few months. So I'm very pleased to introduce our panel, who we're fortunate enough to hear today. They're prepping for an even bigger session that they're hosting at IBS later this month. So we get the treat of hearing it first. So that's very exciting. So our three panelists today, Genevieve Benson, Miles Brand, Jennifer Cooper with Evolution Marketing, and Leah Fellows with Blue Gypsy. Three very knowledgeable women in our industry who have been around, who have seen different markets, seen different consumer behavior cycles. And I'm just very excited and thrilled to hear what everyone has to say today.
Thanks so much, Kristen. We appreciate it. I want to welcome everybody. My name is Leah Fellows. We're going to talk to you about understanding today's consumer behavior and how to buckle up for the marketing flywheel. And as we get started, we want to tell you a little bit about why we are here today. So Jen, feel free to advance.
No, I'm trying to advance. And here comes our first hiccup.
Our first hiccup. You were doing fine during our.
There we go.
Okay. Why are we here? And as Kristen said, we are doing a presentation at the International Builders Show coming up here in Las Vegas on the 27th. And we're actually doing something called a jam session. And I don't know who all here may or may not be going to the International Builders Show, but this is the first year they're doing jam sessions, which are great engagements. They're big, they're conversational. And it's not only myself, Jennifer, and Genevieve on this, but we also have three other industry experts. I can't work for builders and are also in the marketing realm. So it's going to be a wonderful discussion. And that session is actually called Engage and Keep Prospects Happy from Top of the Funnel to Bottom. So if you are going to IBS and you want to look for that, that's what the session is called. And it's late in the afternoon on the first day, Tuesday. So anyway, I think it's great. You're going to get some wonderful takeaways today. We've changed it up a little bit to target this audience a little bit better. And so, just maybe a little bit more about the three of us in case you're not aware of who we are. Kristen did a great job introducing us. I am actually the founder of Blue Gypsy Inc. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, we do online sales counselor training strategy, helping builders, specifically new home builders, real estate professionals, and developers set up that online sales counselor role. And for most of the people on here, you all may be marketers or maybe somehow related. I mean, that's why you want to know about this consumer behavior. And the OSCs are the people who take those leads from the marketers that you all are generating, nurtures those, and hands them off to site sales agents. So we are going to be talking a little bit about that today. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to Genevieve.
Thank you, Leah. Hi, everyone. So wonderful to be here with you this morning. I'm Genevieve Benson. I'm the Director of New Business for Miles Brand, and Miles Brand is a full-service creative agency, and we focus exclusively on the new home industry, helping brands differentiate themselves, identify their unique brand DNA, and then communicate it in a way that's consistent, that really resonates with your target audience. So great to be here with you today, and looking forward to sharing some tips and tricks. I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Cooper. My company is Evolution Marketing. I've worked with several home builders nationally and regionally. If being in the Colorado market, you probably know me from my time as Vice President of Marketing and Brand at Oakwood Homes. And today I have the joy and honor of working with builders nationally on their strategy in a fractional CMO capacity. So I kind of do whatever I did in the world of the builder world, just with a lot of different builders. And I also work in B2B with service organizations in the industry. So thank you, everybody, for having us here today, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, try and get this thing to advance again. There we go. All right, so I start with this slide. What's this little girl doing? She is daydreaming. She's blowing those dandelions into the wind. Hopefully it also brings back a little fun memory from your childhood to start your morning. But we're going to be talking about, the marketing funnel. It's changed. It's not full of easy and predictable paths. Marketing isn't like blowing dandelions into the wind and just daydreaming. That would be wishful thinking. It's fun to blow those dandelions, but we're not at that point. So today we're not going to be giving you the magic recipe to first-class marketing. We only have about an hour, but what we're going to do is highlight things you need to consider. Really, every company is different. Every team, every budget, every product challenge, every location has different challenges, as I've learned over the years, and every company makeup across builders. But really, we need to use today to think about how your marketing funnel is working in conjunction to very specific key areas we're going to talk about. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to blow it up. Try to be as collectively nice on how we're going to be blowing up that funnel. We're going to be thinking about all the things that we as marketers, I know we have marketing folks, we have sales folks, we've got builder marketers, we have other service product marketers in the room. So we're going to try to do a really good job of talking to what home builder marketers are doing. And if you are an interior design firm or construction firm, there's a lot of the same needs. As marketers, we're going to pull out a lot of the same tool belts, but you may hear us kind of go back and forth between the analogies. But the biggest thing I want to get apart or take away from here today with the funnel is someone in your organization has to own where the funnel is going and where all the bits and pieces of all the communication are tying together. Is that your vice president of sales and marketing? Is it even a COO, or is it a marketing coordinator? It's going to depend. But someone has to really understand what we're going to talk about: the omnichannel, the funnel, and all the pieces and how they work together. So think about who that person is in your organization. So here we have a very classic marketing funnel. It has everything from if you're a marketer, you've seen this. We have our awareness, we have our interest, consideration, intent, evaluation. Nothing is new about this funnel. And previously, years ago, it was probably easier to say, we know we start touching someone with all of these marketing touch points at a very specific point, and we're going to have phone conversations, and maybe we're going to fax things. I don't know. Let's go back lots of years, right? But it was a very 1, 2, 3. And when we talk about blowing it up, that's exactly what we're doing. There's still these pieces of the pie. I want to make it very clear. Someone's still going to go through needing that brand awareness. Who are you? What do you offer me? They're going to go through all these feelings, but it's not the funnel. Like this funnel should really, really go away. So what I like to say we have now is the anti-funnel. And across this funnel at the top, we have all of these feelings and decision areas that the consumer is going through. I need to be aware. I need to engage with you. What are my needs? What is my intent to buy? What am I considering? How am I finding you? How will I test and confirm all the things that I need to make the brand relevant to me? How do I justify or even further convince myself? Where do I make those decisions? How am I going to negotiate what I want? Our home buyers do that. And then I'm going to eventually purchase. So as the brand, on the brand side, as the service orientation side, we're figuring out how to attract, seen, connect, educate, cultivate, demonstrate, nurture, convert, execute, and support. So at the same time, there's a push and pull strategy here between what the buyer wants and what we want and what we need to do. And so this little ugly drawing I have here in the middle is where the new funnel is going, right? So I may jump in and be aware, I may engage, I may get to testing things, and then I'm going to go back and think, oh, but is this fulfilling my needs? And and I'm just going to go back and forth all throughout this because there's new prongs in the marketing spoke wheel, or new spokes in the wheel, if you will, of how I'm going to see a review, find an influencer, get a digital ad, get retargeted, go through this omni-channel that are going to maybe make me go back and forth. So it's really important for us as marketers to be very, very cognizant of this. And one of the things we're going to talk about at IBS is I would love if marketers would start thinking about putting an air tag on your buyers. You know what an air tag is, made by Apple? It's a little tag that you can, they're actually fabulous, but you can put them on anything that you might lose and track it like you would your phone. So if you think about putting an air tag on your customer, what would you want that journey to look like as they're going from emails to text messages into your storefront, driving past your storefront, seeing a billboard? Yes, people still do those. As they're going through all of these experiences, what is that air tag experience? And if I could track it really and watch and understand where they stopped, pulled back, and went another direction, it's going to look a lot like this. So how is your message consistent? Super important to be thinking about. So air tag methodology is what I would encourage you to start to think about. Then we have our omni-channel and thinking about everything. So what is an omni-channel? It's not just a multi-channel. Omni means all. Channel is really referencing to all the ways that customers might interact with a company. It's your storefronts. It's how they're on the web, how they're on social media, emails, apps, SMS, all of the digital things. And the omni-channel approach can be very powerful to meet your customers where they are, providing them with good service in line with their preferences and their needs. So think about, picture this. This is a very classic scenario. I think we have a lot of women on here, online shopping for clothes. We all do it. So you're browsing online and you're thinking about, how do I want to, sorry, we just moved. You're browsing online and you're thinking about something new that you want to buy. You get off, and then later on you're on social media and you're seeing, wow, that's the same shirt that I was looking at. Weird. Yes, we are Big Brother. We are now in a big brother marketing world. And that's a really simple example of omni-channel marketing. It's related, it's planned, it's positioned, you're retargeting. But not every customer is really looking for the same thing. And in omni-channel marketing, we have to acknowledge that some people are wanting 24/7, some people are wanting to be touched at different times with the message. So how are you building that omni-channel to be there when the customer is ready? So a few quick facts to think about omni-channel. B2C customers, they will typically engage 3 to 5 times with different channels each time they make a purchase or resolve a request. And omni-channel customers are shopping about roughly 2 times more than other shoppers who use a single channel, and they'll spend more. So you have to be thinking as a marketer, how am I hitting people and how am I retargeting in all of these different ways that are going to come together? If I'm sending out a campaign, how am I hitting it? Thinking about the algorithm of the social media channel and when it's hitting customers, because it's going to be delayed and it's going to be for several days later. And then how am I also retargeting and all my messaging is really fresh? That is a true omni-channel strategy. And one other thing, and then we'll move on to the next slide. I love to follow all other industries because we all sell to consumer of all things. So it's consumer of all things mindset. One area that I follow is hospitality. So if you think about your own example behavior when you're going to book a hotel room, you may go through, they say on average about 6 times between website, mobile apps, hotel.com, all of these different things before they're making a decision. And if you don't get what you want over here, or this gets stuck, or this doesn't allow me to chat, I may go to a whole different brand. So we have to think about that omni-channel experience and what's being structured and created even in other industries. So I always love to definitely champion that point. So now we brings us to the flywheel, and the flywheel model is really popularized by HubSpot. I know more and more home builders in the industry are on HubSpot, which is fabulous. And the flywheel is how you can accelerate growth in your company. So you want to be thinking about how you're focusing on attracting those strangers, those people that don't know about your brand, how you're engaging your prospects, you're converting them to customers, you're delighting them in their experience, and then you're incentivizing them. So thinking back to my little ugly squiggly drawing, there's really 2 visuals. I want you to keep in mind that during this presentation, those 2 visuals, that where's my customer in their air tag journey? And then if I pull them into my brand and my product, how do I keep them flying on this wheel and just spinning? Because you don't want them to spin off and out. Those are just too, I'm a very visual person. So try to think about that. Come back to those thoughts when you're thinking through your marketing strategy and if it's robust enough. All right. So now we're talking about, like, this is the buyer personas and the and some of the prospect segments. So in this particular example, this is a list of different questions that on the home builder side. So our home builders will know these questions, but home buyers are thinking about all of these different questions that are pertaining to them. It's all about me at that point, right? What am I needing? Should we buy a home? Where do I want to live? You know, do I want to look at other builders? What amenities are nearby? These are all things that we need to be listing and thinking about and listening to their answers, but knowing that they're at a very specific point in the conversation in their B2B journey. So, and then looking for where are those stopgaps? What is the dialogue that's in their mind? Is cost a concern? Discover what is their motivation? What's going to keep them moving through the funnel? So I want to ask Genevieve, point to Genevieve, because I want to get out of the builder mindset in her B2B world. Where do you see that you're thinking about your buyer personas and your prospect segments and some of these questions in the B2B space?
Thank you, Jennifer. Excuse me. I think it's really important. I love this example. This, regardless of what your business sector is, you can take these questions and tailor them to your target audience, your buyer personas. What types of questions? Think through with your team. Are our buyers asking at different stages in their journey as they're kind of going around this marketing flywheel? And how are we addressing that in our communication to them? Are we answering those questions? Are we meeting their expectations and meeting them where they are, to help them through their buying and decision-making process? So I think this is a great example that can be easily tailored. And if you don't have something like this in place today that's driving what your communication looks like, what is included in your sequence emails, what kind of resources you're providing to your target audience, this would be a great place to start. What questions are our buyers asking, and what do they need to get answered from us so that we can help them to that final decision-making process?
Absolutely. And you may even make this into an exercise where I love to whiteboard, and we can digital whiteboard these days. So do you say, I'm going to create you can create 3 cadences just off of this diagram by sitting with your team saying, what are the customers asking us when they're aware? They don't know if they're strangers, or they don't know who we are, or maybe they don't even know that we've offered a new product or we've grown in a new area. How do we start to create that messaging specifically in these chunks, right? And then you share that with your team and then your sales team, and then you start to know, what are we trying to drive at very specific times, depending on where the buyer is. All right, now we have Leah's lovely triangle.
So, what we just talked about in those different segments is really important. And what I truly believe and what I teach online sales counselors is, just like you need 3 points in order to create a fire, you need oxygen, you need heat, and you need fuel. In order to create a buyer in the building industry, and I'm obviously going to be more B2C versus B2B like Genevieve is, but in order to create a buyer, you need 3 main points. You need price range, time frame, and area. Those are the 3 things that are going to be driving most of your buyers from everything I've seen over the last 18 years of online sales. And the thing is that triangle, while it's not necessarily an isosceles, those points are movable. And in our world, those questions that we were looking at in that great diagram previously, those are the questions that we need to be asking in order to find out how movable are those points. How do we get to know our buyers and what's driving them? And so, even though price range may be something that they're talking about, it's really getting deeper into what is behind their answers that's important. And so all of the time we should be thinking about, what are these questions and what are the questions to get behind the questions, or that why behind the why. So as we move on to think about buyer psychology, which is going to be really important. That plays into, Jen, you can go to buyer psychology. That plays
Oh.
into that why behind the why, and really asking the right questions. So,
Yeah.
you know, I want to turn it over to Genevieve, because in order to even create and find out about these, we kind of start with branding, right? We all need to start in the branding area and make sure that we're asking the questions that both align our brand with what our buyers are looking for. So I'm not sure what's going on there, where
Can you see this?
no,
Sorry.
I think you need to hit one more time.
Yeah, well, this is going to go into a little bit of the psychology of the buyer. So I think maybe just ahead of a slide of me. See the magic of live TV here. We'll work
It
it.
might just need to click through, Jen. Are these your, the bullet points aren't coming through?
They will be. They're
Oh,
animated.
there we go.
Everybody's
So-
very excited to see the bullet points.
I am.
Here.
I'm never a words person. I'm a pictures person.
No,
Yes.
I didn't know, Jen. Do you want to touch a little bit on this and
Yeah, I
like
do want to
dive
get
into the awareness?
Genevieve's point of view on these. And we made some changes last night, but anyways, psychology of the buyer. They're thinking. So again, they're on that squiggly path. They've got a lot of thoughts and questions, and they may be in different points of where they're ready to commit to buying anything from any of us, right? So, do I trust you? That's the first thing we have to keep in mind. How are we building trust? And how have we shown that they can trust us, whether it's your OSC team, whether it's your sales team, it's how you're following up. Are you genuine? Are you authentic? How do I like to be communicated with? Is it text? Is it, as we know, more and more of our home buyers are wanting to I want to get into the house. I have a question about the price point. Like they're very heavily, more and more of the generations are heavily on phone. What's important to me should be important to you. Like, do you understand that my kids come first? Location's most important, budget's most important, my timeline to move is more important. How does your product solve a challenge, need, or pain? Really always going back to why they were interested in your brand and understanding that. And do you understand where I stand in the process? And what I love is, do they simply need a break? This is really important. I couldn't help but think of the infamous Friends, we're on a break, right? So everything is a relationship. Everything is a relationship. And do I love your product? Do I love your service? Just like in a relationship, but do I need a break? And sometimes those customers in that line that squiggly line we talked about, are going to pause, or they're going to go back and they're going to need a little bit more time to say, is this product for me? And the more information we give them and the more transparent they are, they're going to take those pauses. So I think it's really important to think about where we're meeting the buyer. We're not just sending out a sequence of 10 emails. Oh, I'm on social, I have a website, I'm good, I'm done. No, we've got so much more going on. And emotions higher these days with social media, reviews, people getting in there. Emotions are very high. So Genevieve, I know you maybe had some thoughts specifically around this area or the triangle talked about.
Yeah. So, I mean, I believe that branding is all about, building trust. And on the B2B side, the we're on a break, this is really important for me because I'm targeting typically VPs of sales and marketing for home builders or developers. They're extremely busy individuals. So it's really important for me to set appropriate amounts of touch points to that person, to that individual, so that I'm seen as a resource. I'm seen as somebody who's being thoughtful about my outreach, and I'm not inundating them and just filling up their inbox with, standard communication that's not tailored to them for their message. And now we'll move into awareness, and I'll dig in a little bit more about branding. And I also have a case study to share with you all. So when we talk about awareness, everything is tied to branding. And I love this quote by Simon Sinek. Customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. So first you have to get your foundation with your employees. They have to be excited about what they're doing. And I think that really relates to when we say branding, what do we really mean? In my view, a brand is an emotional bond that connects people with products and services. In fewer words, your brand is your reputation. So if your brand is your reputation, how are you building trust? I see that as by fulfilling on your promises consistently. And when we work with a company or with a brand, we like to start with a brand promise to set the foundation for all creative and messaging moving forward. And some great examples of brand promises include Target, expect more, pay less. Apple, think different. Nike, just do it. All of those companies have that succinct phrase that makes a promise to the consumer about what they're going to offer. And then they're able to live up to that by being consistent. And a brand needs to be based on your company's purpose. Do your employees truly understand the mission of your company, your core values? We encourage companies that we work with to stick to something that's memorable, that's succinct. Maybe it's 3 core values and a simple mission statement. And that needs to be at the forefront of how you're working with your employees. It needs to be in your onboarding, in your corporate identity, in your corporate office, not just a small little plaque in your conference room. It's sort of like a team. Think about, the Super Bowl was yesterday. All those football players were working from the same playbook for each of their teams. They had to memorize all of the plays so that they could execute and win the game. It's the same thing, whether you're B2B or B2C, creating that consistent playbook. And now we can transition a little bit into this case study that I have for you all today. So I'm featuring True Homes here, and they are a great example of somebody who has created brand evangelists out of their employees. They are a privately owned, purpose-driven, home builder based out of the Carolinas. They build over 2,000 homes per year, and they wanted to be the most consumer-centric builder in the market. So we positioned them around their tagline of "It's all about you." And how they've created this really great culture at True Homes is they've been voted the best place to work by the Charlotte Chronicle since 2016. They received the National Housing Quality Award in 2019 by Pro Builder. And then they were awarded the Pro Builder Builder of the Year award in 2020, which we all know is a highly coveted award in our industry. And they got their team members excited. They're living up to their quality standards. And then we can start looking at the next slide that showcases the brand and how they truly make it all about you on the consumer side of things. So you can see here how the you is cradling the individual. The individual is the star here in "It's all about you." So they set the foundation with their brand evangelists, with their employees. And now how do they translate that to the consumer? So with True Homes, they've capitalized on the fact that they offer production value homes with options for customization that oftentimes people only get with a custom builder. So for example, they have a 3-step semi-custom process. They have over 200 floor plans that their buyers can choose from. And then secondly, if that floor plan needs a window moved or a wall moved, they allow that. So they have an internal saying that we never build the same home twice. And then third, in the True Design Studio, how can that individual further customize their home and express themselves in all of the finishes and unleash their inner designer? So that's how True Homes has done a really, really fantastic job on paying off. It's all about you. They're creating those brand evangelists first with their employees, so then that their buyers can get excited about their brand, and then they're delivering on those promises and continuing to build trust by fulfilling on "It's all about you."
So love that case study. It's so good. It's so clean. You guys have done an amazing job with the brand. But again, think about if you're just hearing about this story and all of these accolades for the first time, I already think this is a trustworthy brand, right? And that's going to come in at the beginning of whatever we want to call this non-funnel, anti-funnel, right? And that personalization never builds the same home twice. Wow, that's really like as powerful. I need to feel so, I'm going to expect to feel so special and so unique throughout the entire journey. So how is my marketing going to be, communicating that? And then furthermore, how is that team, Genevieve, you talked about how the team really rallied around all these awards and everything. They're paying that off in their experiences, which has to go hand in hand with the marketing. So to add on to that, on the B2B side, also with another company I've worked with, an interior design firm, Builders Design, I manage that brand, and we talk about how do we always show up with creativity, innovation, and research first. And all of our messaging rallies around those topics, not the end product, the design, so that we're one step ahead of what we're trying to accomplish in our end product. So down to the business development people that are just making the calls, trying to get in front of people, they're rallying around, we're giving them that message. The email messaging is consistent. The deliverables we push out in the market are all talking about the creativity, the innovation, the research first perspective, because it carries out in the end product. So I encourage everybody to go back to the drawing board and say, what is our mission, our vision? Sure, that's all very important, but how are we tying it into that brand message through every pinpoint, knowing that we're going to, this funnel is extended and long and messy now. So just wanted to add that in as well. So Leah, I know you're going to talk a little bit about how these tin cans and string can work for building interest.
So obviously with your branding, your base, you're starting to build that awareness, as Jen and Genevieve have been talking about. And so as you build awareness, your buyer, as they become aware of who you are, your prospects now move into that interest phase. And in that interest phase, no matter what the channel is they're coming from, where they found you, they're hopefully going to start to engage with you, correct? So they want to engage, and that's kind of where the role of online sales counselors in the building industry were born, was because we were creating awareness in our various ways back in the Stone Age, 20 years ago. Our websites were billboards on the internet, but people were wanting to reach out to us and ask questions. And whether you're a builder or any other builder related business, people are going to reach out to you and ask questions. And you have to have a way to communicate, right? And everybody's communication is different. Maybe you have your tin cans, maybe you're communicating with your old friend like this. But what we found, and where I started out almost, 18 years ago with a builder, was that people were inquiring and wanted information, but all the marketing that was being done, the lead was not getting to the right person. So people were not getting responses. And in this digital age we live in, with Amazon, with, next day everything, with 2 seconds until we get a reply from everything, we need that person that is going to be on the other end of that inquiry, whether it's an online sales counselor, which is my belief, or someone else. We've got to have a trusted advisor. We've got to have someone who's a resource for your company, to be that catcher, if you will. I know, wrong sport, right? We just had the Super Bowl, but they need to catch all of those and then start to build that rapport, build that relationship in that interest stage. And maybe they're building it over the phone, through text, through email, through video email, through various touch points. But you have to have someone, or even a department, if you're a large builder or a large company, that deals with those first and creates a personal experience, because this is the beginning of that buyer journey that we actually see, that we start to see where people are coming from and how they want to be addressed. So it's really important to have that process, even though we're blowing up the lead funnel and we're telling you that might have all different entrance points, we still can't blow up that process. And the process may look different depending on where in the funnel they enter and where in the process they personally are. And so it's very important for us to consider, if we're getting a lead from a certain channel, whether it's a Zillow lead, a BDX lead, it's coming through our computer. Each one of those messages is different. And if we meet those buyers where they are, we're much more likely to be able to get them to communicate with us. An example would be, I see it all the time in the online sales counselor world, where we pay for BDX leads. And if BDX is on here, I apologize, but sometimes I think it's the Quick In Loans of the building industry because of the algorithm that puts it out to so many builders in your area. And so people get bombarded with messaging from buyers or from builders to the buyers, and they don't even know that they inquired to those builders. So you need your first touch point and your first engagement with that person to be something different. And the online sales counselors that create something saying, I understand your pain, you're probably getting a lot of emails from builders right now because you're looking for a new home. They're the ones that actually are able to get the response. And I don't know about you, some of you have probably been out there where you've accidentally signed up on something like Angie's List or Quicken Loans or any of those things. And then you're like, what did I do? Because your inbox or your text messages start coming across. So it's important to know your processes and then not to drown your prospects in touch points, and to understand that you're constantly managing that chaos, right? That person that's dealing with all the leads has a better view of everything that's going on, and they can work with the marketing department to understand what's coming down the pike, right? So Jen, I mean, if we move to the next thought process here, we don't want to drown in these emails. And it's funny because every year I do a survey with Melinda Brody and Company and Denim Marketing, where we shop 50 builders across the country to see what their messaging is like and how they're trying to engage with their buyers. We fill out a form on their website, and we see a wide variety from absolutely zero contact from builders and not even an autoresponder or any marketing messages going out to that lead. Believe it or not, you're spending all that money to drive people to your website and nothing's happening. All the way to the most we've ever seen is something like 17 plus marketing emails on top of an online sales counselor touchpoint program, which is 8 to 12 touch points. So we really need to know and be aware of which processes are running and what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, Jen, if you want to add in a little bit there. I know we've talked about this a bit.
Oh, I know. It made my heart hurt when I was like, 17 like 17 emails. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about that, but it was interesting. It's why it was fun to talk with these ladies, because we all have different experiences. But how do you manage the chaos, right? So one, going back to one of the first points I made was, who's managing this? Who's looking at the customer journey? Who's looking at the omni-channel? Should be someone in marketing. Sorry, no, it's a big hat to wear, but someone's got to be looking and saying, how many times are we actually bombarding this customer so we don't have a bunch of these guys here I'm pointing on the screen, swimming in it. So part of it is understanding your CRM and knowing it inside and out, nuts and bolts. And one of the things I do, I do not know everything. I've been doing this a long time, but I hire the subject matter experts in the right area. So I hired, I'm going to give him a shout out. Love him, Tyler Stouter. He is a HubSpot expert. And I was like, Tyler, the CRM in this environment is a mess. I need you to come in and look at like everything that we're doing across the board, connect my texting platform. Let's get the email platform. Let's work on cadences and bring in the expert. If you're not an expert in the area, bring in an expert. So Genevieve, I know you had a similar story about your process and auditing what you were doing in your B2B space.
Absolutely. We try to look at everything on a quarterly basis, and our head of marketing is also our general manager, Kelly Fink, and her and I work closely together. So I think it's really important for marketing and sales to align, because while she's focused on the marketing emails that are more general, nurturing touch points, I'm sending out that direct communication. So we're working hand in hand very closely together to make sure that we assess that customer journey, we assess the communication journey, if you will, and how people are interacting with our brand and how we're interacting with them, to make sure it's not overkill. And then to make sure, as we have updated resources or guides or case studies that are available, that we're updating those automated sequences with the most relevant information. Our market is always changing. So do you have outdated information in your sequences, or do you have something that's not really pertinent anymore? If you're on the home builder side, are you promoting something that's not even happening anymore? Making sure that you have that careful set of eyes, really looking through your strings of various communication and ensuring that it's up to date and it's the message that you want to be sending. So,
And,
Yeah,
and
the
I just,
auditing.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
say something there as well on auditing, because, you know, just like Jen mentioned in HubSpot, I mean, if there's builders on here, there's inevitably at least one builder or two on here that use Lasso as well. And
Yeah.
while there are HubSpot experts, Lasso, you know, I teach online sales counselors all the time that they need to go back and audit their follow-up processes and see what's working, see what's actually eliciting a response, eliciting a response. Which ones are working for them? What's the messaging like? And I have come into builders before where they had their CRM set up years ago, and they did not realize there was an automated process going out
Yeah.
to their buyers. I mean, it literally was set up 4 years before I came on the scene. And they didn't know why people were responding to this email that they didn't know they were sending. So you have to be really careful. Automation is not the enemy, and you can use automation and it can still have customization and sound personalized, but you've got to make sure you know what's going out when and why. Because like Genevieve said, messaging can change. I mean, a perfect example, during COVID, we knew the wrong messages were going out because we needed to have more compassion and change our messaging. So that's really important. And it goes all the way back to marketing and whoever's managing those leads having great communication. So
The
just
auditing is key.
add that before we move to consideration. But
Yeah, no, but real quick, the auditing is key. I challenge everybody, go back and make sure you don't have something from COVID, because I have found that with some of my audits. So they work with builders where it's like, well, that message doesn't, that was like 2 years ago. We don't need that in there anymore. So double check it. And I always check them quarterly, because our industry is reactionary. It's changing. Is it rates? Is it availability? Is it, you know, energy efficiency? There's so many different things that are constantly changing. So check your message quarterly. End of soapbox on that one. All right, come on, change slide. Technology's a little lagging today. All right, so real quick on that topic, this is just I want to make sure we stay on time. We're looking good. This is a snapshot of a whiteboard piece that I'll do with the companies and the teams that I work with. I mean, it's literally, I have many of these, but this is an example of what I want. Again, start thinking about how this works in your organization. Engaged leads. You have engaged leads, you have non-engaged leads, you've got leads that are hot, cold, warm, lukewarm, right? And then if you have an online sales counselor or business development person, trying to think of it in both lights, you know, that top part is what the OSCs and the business development teams are managing. Their one-on-one emails, one-on-one texting, one-on-one chat on your website if you have it, social messages, behind the scenes. Oh my gosh, I love this house, or I love this product. Where do I get it? Phone, in-person events, online reviews, in post and purchase, in post-purchase time conversations. And then you have your marketing people that are also, well, I'm doing mass texting, I'm doing mass emails, I'm doing also social messages, also in-person things. I'm managing reputation management online with social, and also anything with my team post-purchase. So then we also have to think about how are we working on those touch points so we're not hitting them up 17 times, right? So I put this diagram because when you get this in front of your sales team, anybody who's communicating with the customer, which could be down to construction if you're really savvy, your on-site builders are also having conversations with those buyers when they're moving along in their journey, right? So really, when you take it, it's not just customer journey mapping, because that's saying all the different ways my customer might, but how are they actually, and how are we managing those communications? So like I said, this is just one little chunk of an example that I will go out and like exhaust with my clients. And I encourage you guys to sit down and have these conversations, lunch and a whiteboard. What are we doing? So put that in there as a little tip and trick. So now we're going to move on to consideration with Via.
well, you know, consideration, right? They move in and out of this stage a lot. Your buyers do. Once they've engaged and they've started expressing interest, this is where they're going to spend the most time before they actually move forward with your product. So how are you going to keep people in that consideration stage? How are you going to give them what they want, the information they need to be able to start moving towards that decision area? And, it really comes down to a full service versus self-service. We see it a lot these days where builders are, looking at that buy it now possibility. What does that mean? Are people really buying it now? That's a really important question to put out there. It may seem like now, but they've been considering and expressing interest for a while. And if you don't give them the tools that they need in order to be able to continue to consider you, then they're going to jump off and go somewhere else. So it's important to have those self-serve options, because buyers don't want to talk with a person right away. Now, of course, my goal with OSCs is how do we provide those people for them to talk to when they're ready? And what do we do? And I know that at the top of the funnel, you can collect data, and middle, bottom of the funnel, you can collect data from people. And there's different ways to engage people depending on where they are. But Jen, why don't I turn it over to you to talk a little bit about what builders are lacking in self-serve options?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can say this. I feel like I can say this and not offend anybody, but we know that our industry is behind the eight ball. We're not moving forward with innovation. And when I say it in all my talks, if you've heard me talk before, I'm always like, consumer of all things. If we get obsessed with how our customers are buying other things, we're going to become obsessed with making it better in our industry. So that is knowing that if you've looked at any of your online analytics, when are people engaging more and more? Kevin Oakley also talks about this. One of my good friends, we talk about how people are engaging later into the night. Talking with the CEO of Only, another partner of ours, who he's working on a new Verify system, and he's like, Jen, people are taking a link and getting verified and wanting to contract at like 11 o'clock at night. Salespeople are waking up with contracts in their hands. We're not opening, and only a few builders are playing with some of these technologies, right? The customer wants to play. The customer wants to say, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm excited. Hun, let's buy. Let's do it now. So we have to give them more tools. So if I could say industry, what could we be doing more? What should we be doing more of? Is building teams dedicated to technology in our organizations, and then building those roadmaps. That's a whole nother conversation. But I think we're missing just how are we driving towards self-service? So self-service, less black and white renderings, more home tours, more listings, more self-tours, more verification of understanding, not just mortgage calculator on page 32 buried in my website. How am I saying, let's really see if you're ready? So there's a lot more tools out there coming out every day, but I know marketers are so busy that they're just not making enough time. So we have to consider, coming back to what the slide is saying, there's more of a desire for self-service across all demographics and growing. And our Gen Z, which is our next coming, we should already be thinking about building for Gen Z, are going to want more self-service than Millennial and Gen X.
Well,
so
and here's something that I wanna say about that is, even though people want self-service, you still need someone that knows where they are and what they're doing. And sometimes you still need to reach out and give an option to discuss. And one of the problems with some of these self-service options, like self-tours, setting your own appointments, all of those things, is they're being scattershot across, like nobody's actually then checking in with those people once they've done a U-tour, once they've toured your home. And so that's where having that trusted advisor, that resource, that department, that all of that collects to, and then that process driven off of that, we don't want to, again, we're not trying to pester people. Okay. And we are giving them self-serve options, but we still want to check in and go, okay, did you have questions? Do you want to talk to someone? What can I help you with? What did you think of that house? Did it fit your needs? We have 5 others that you may not have been aware of. So it's important, even though we're giving self-service options, that we're not just like letting them go off and the farm and do what they want, right?
No, great point. And I'm not even, I want to make, and we love this because part of our jam session is all about debate. And it's not a debate. It's true. We need to have those tools, but then it is, if you've got U-Tour or Intronow or something, how is your OSC like following up on that piece? if we're giving someone a verification link and they're saying I want to buy online, well, chances are they've been already communicating with their OSC. They've already done something on the front end to get engaged with someone, but then they have the tools when they're ready because they were already empowered and they asked and they answered and they connected. So I won't debate you, Leah, because I agree.
No. I'm just putting it out there for everybody listening, because a lot of marketers, you know, they're putting all these things in place, but what is the process behind it? The person who's going to actually check in and monitor all of these things. And it's not just the marketers monitoring the tools, it's the person who's going to be doing the engagement that needs to. And so we need to identify where those are going. So gated content, I think this is important. It leads right into it, right?
I mean, it's
Because
part of it, yeah.
talking about giving people the tools to do what they want, and here we are at gated content, and these are pretty gates, but you know, this is maybe what builders think their gates look like to the buyers, but really buyers don't like gated content. And I know that the three of us could debate this on our own for probably 30 minutes, but Genevieve and Jen, you guys have your feeling. I feel that things like floor plans and important information should not be gated. You can't ask. I combated this 17 years ago when, in order for someone to just simply see a floor plan on my website, they needed to enter their information, and they had to do it again and again and again. And I believe in creating accounts where people can save things, and that's how you collect data, having information that's on your website. And if they want to download it into a brochure, collect that information there. But I think in general, we need to be open and showing our buyers what we have available, or they're going to jump off and go somewhere else. Genevieve, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line here. I'm just going to use a community as an example. A lot of times, for our clients, we're driving paid search campaigns to a landing page. This is nothing new, and we have the contact form there. We're giving them just enough information to get them excited about this community. We're giving them, you know, some beautiful lifestyle imagery, but we're not giving them a ton of detail. If they want the whole community story, they fill out the contact form. But what I will say is we're giving them something in return. And I think that's important. If you're giving us your contact information, we're not just going to suddenly inundate you with emails. You're getting a brochure with detailed information about the community. What is the lifestyle story? What are the amenities that are in place? Builders are great at talking about their homes and what they're selling. And a lot of times they're not great, or their salespeople aren't equipped because they've got a lot to think about, a lot to memorize in terms of their product and their homes, about telling the lifestyle story. So this is an opportunity, or a place, excuse me, where I think gated content is appropriate. This is the community story. We're not hiding floor plans. We're not hiding that type of information. It's should be a delightful experience for the buyer. Yes, they're giving us their contact information, but we're giving them something valuable in return.
And real quick on that, I would say to be aware with gated content. I agree. There's a time to hold it and a time to not. But Google is going to do a cookieless environment here and then in this year. And so that first party data is going to be more and more important. So you're going to be wanting to work with your digital firm or firms like Miles Brand to say, where are we going to in the right way start to collect more information up front, because we're going to be handcuffed a little bit by the gods of Google, if you will, like I All right. All right, ladies, we've just got like 4 more minutes. We're going to have to try to wrap up here a little bit.
I'm going to blow through some of this next stuff. Intent, right? Once we have them once we start to engage with them, we have to understand where they are. When I hear the word intent, I kind of think of Criminal Minds, and that's that music, dun dun. But really, we're trying to figure out, are the people that are coming to our website, are they tire kickers? Are they truly interested? What are they interested in? We know in the building industry that with OSCs, we see that of the leads we generate, 25 to 35% of those will actually convert into an appointment. That means there's 65 to 75% that won't. It's either they won't be qualified, they won't fit what we need. So it's really important for us to have the processes to figure out what they truly want, and not to drop a lead just because they don't reply to us in that first couple of touch points, or often it gets dropped after the first one, right? We don't hear a response, we leave it on them to deal with it. And so I want to move into something that I like to call the 20-60-20 rule, which is where, go ahead and advance to the
Sorry, it's just taking a
20
second.
rule. We got to move, guys. We have 3
It's
minutes.
not, it's delaying, sorry.
20% of buyers will buy no matter what, because you have what they want, when they want it, where they want it, and at the price they want it. And that's true across all industries. They will buy. 20% won't buy no matter what, because you don't have what they want, where they want, when they want it. But that 60% will or won't buy depending on what we do. And that's why when we're creating this engagement, when we're creating a buyer journey, it's so important for us to try to tap into that 60%. And that's truly what we do in online sales. And that's where coming into evaluation and decision, and that importance of being transparent is so important, because OSCs need to help build that buyer journey and give people an idea of what they're going through. Once they start to get that engagement, that's how they can do more figuring of the intent. Jen, go ahead and take that over.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be pushing through because transparency really leads to gated content in some of the last few slides that we talked about. So when you're thinking about, you get to purchase, you're going to go to real quick purchase and post-purchase. We're going to try to condense this real quick. But, the biggest thing that I would say for builder marketers to work with your teams is to just say, once they get to purchase, it's not that we got this handshake or we got that purchase button online with your products and services. You really take everything you did on the front end and you do it again. It keeps going. That's really the point that I want to get across with that. And knowing that the first step in exceeding your customers' expectations is to know what those expectations are in your post-purchase process. And to really, when you're thinking about post-purchase customers for life, this is a piece that we want to make sure that that's something I champion. Let your ROI shine. Do more with your marketing dollars. If you can build customers for life, if we have more referrals, we're going to spend less money to keep that wheel going. So how are you surveying your customers through the entire process? If you ever want to take it offline and talk to me about some of my successes, trials, and errors on how you really build out the customer for life process, I would love to do that. I'm again shortening this because we're coming up for time, but it's an area that I have a lot of experience and would love to share some programs that we've put together. So yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Any last thoughts on our buyer journey? The biggest thing is making sure that we look at personalization, that we look at how our OSC teams and our sales teams are tagging along in the experience, and really think about your buyer journey being this yellow brick road, that it's not perfect. They can get off of it. It's very similar analogy. You're hearing a lot of similar analogies today about just understanding whether you're air tagging, you're watching them come on and off of an experience. Are you engaging them? Are they ready to buy? Are they not ready to buy? Do they want to break up? Knowing where your customer is and making sure those messages are resonating where your customers are today. So we're pretty much out of time. I want to be mindful of everybody's time. And we had a really great quote. Sorry, we had so much to say, obviously, but we're going to go ahead and wrap up with a fun quote. I think we got the gist of what we wanted to say today. Genevieve, Leah, anything you want to end with in our conversations today around the funnel and customer journey?
I'll just say one quick thing. I would challenge everybody to go and look at your process, and do you have something in place post-purchase to create customers for life? And if not, talk to any one of us. We're happy to talk offline or just think through it with your team. I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. So much information, so little time. 1 hour goes by quickly.
Sorry we had to rush through, but I think we got the gist out.
And Barb asked if she can get the deck. I'm happy to, we're happy to share that.
I think we can facilitate sending out the recording and the deck. I think we can have Connie send that to all of the attendees after the presentation.
Yes.
Cool. Well, Jennifer, Genevieve, and Leah, thank you so much for your expertise. You are all powerhouse women and a wealth of knowledge, and we are grateful that you were able to spend the last 60 minutes with us. I think you've armed all of us, from marketers to sales representatives, with so many tools for our tool belts. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And like I said, we'll send out the recording and the slides to everybody so they can have that to reference again. And from the SMC committee, I just am so grateful for your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For everybody
Yeah.
on the call, thanks for attending this morning, and we look forward to you attending our next Sales and Marketing Council event. And with that, I hope everybody has a great Monday and a great week, and thank you for your time. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.